with that. And now it is time to welcome to the stage our speaker. I didn't mean to insinuate that your background check was going to come back bad and that you would have to be a guest forever. But well, after today's presentation, maybe we'll know that to be the answer. But either way, let's give it up for Rick.
Thank you. We've got technical help here. I'm used to being the one with the fingers in the speaker's face, actually, and walking over and adjusting the microphone to get it right. Okay, are we up there? You know, I deliberately tried to reframe that to get it right. Anyway, Veterans Day, as opposed to Memorial Day, should be a happy day. We should celebrate, and I've got to stand here. I can see myself, right? I can't see myself. Am I framed properly? Okay. Anyway, it should be a happy day where we celebrate the good things that our veterans have done and the good things that happen, as opposed to Memorial Day, which is a solemn day that we honor and venerate the people we have lost in combat who have been severely injured in service. Anyway, November 11th. Okay. Oh, you're getting picky now. On, it is on. It went to sleep. Okay, technical difficulties. I've never heard of such a thing. Okay, we're going to just hit the arrow. Although you, let's turn that one off. You're not running from this, are you? Okay. Excellent. So Veterans Day originated as Armistice Day. On the 11th day, the 11th hour of 1919, at the end of the Great World War. Veterans Day does not have an apostrophe. It is for all the veterans. That's something I learned when I put this together. It's not the same, as I said, as Memorial Day. Veterans Day pays tribute to all of us veterans who have served, but especially, as said, we honor those living still. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual celebration of Veterans Day, November 11th. And Dwight Eisenhower made it a national day, changed it from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. And then in Congress's great wisdom, in 1968, they redid all the holidays and made Veterans Day the first Monday in November, or the second Monday, I don't remember, but ignoring the fact that 11/11/11 was very important to us veterans. And so it took them 6 years, I think, to figure out that that was not a good thing. And we went back to Veterans Day being that. Now, just as an aside, I've worked my entire life trying to get Independence Day, get rid of the 4th of July, and bring in Independence Day as the first Friday in July, because the Declaration of Independence was signed from the 2nd through the 9th of 1776 anyway. And if we had Independence Day on the first Friday of July, we could celebrate it and we'd have 2 days to clean up. I could use other words, but anyway, I don't think they're going to put me in charge, but if I were, that's something I would do. Anyway, in 75, we went back to 11/11. Every year, our partners up in Canada, of which this Rotary Club is part of a district, an international district, also celebrate Remembrance Day. And if you've been up there for Remembrance Day up there, and sometimes down here, you'll see veterans and others selling the poppies. That is basically the international symbol of Remembrance Day and Veterans Day. Kathleen and I were lucky enough to be in England in October of 2015, and got to go to the Tower of London, where they have a celebration of Veterans Day, where they put poppies out for everyone who is lost in combat. And as you can see, it is quite something. Right now, they have a special exhibition at the Tower of London. If you get on Google and look at something, you will be able to see what they're doing this year, and it's something completely different. They've done a mass display, and they're trying to make it look like flowing blood and the blood that has been lost. And it's moving, to say the least, at the Tower of London. But anyway, the British celebrate this day as well. Numbers of veterans: 19 million living veterans served during at least one world war. I look at my notes here, I have other things. This year, or last year, was the first year the number of veterans dropped below 10% of our total population in the United States since the Civil War. We've had at least 10% of our people considered veterans. As you can see the numbers, the very bottom one is the one that's impressive to me. 9% of our veterans are women. I just want to point out, I am an Air Force and an Army veteran, and that the Air Force was one of the first to integrate women into most fields, excepting the combat. And when I was in, it was probably about 15%, but 21% of the Air Force is women serving. And if you know math and you say 9%, that means there's another 5 services, which is the Navy, the Army, the Coast Guard, the Merchant Marine, and the Air Force, and the Marines. Their percentages have to be below 9%. So that's something that has always been significant to me, that there's awful. My son working at McCord works with a very lot of very fine women. And he's actually, yeah. Arlington Memorial at Legion Park is for both Veterans Day and Memorial Day. So just again, Memorial Day is for those who have passed, and Veterans Day is to celebrate those of us who are still here. Marysville also has a memorial that they celebrate. Now, somebody told me that Arlington had a parade this morning. Did I miss it completely? We had a parade this morning, and I'll have to remember that next year. I apologize. Kathleen and I have been here 3 years, and it's something I did not learn. Okay, now we're going to go to my personal involvement. I guarantee I have some pictures, even if you've scrolled the internet, that you will not have seen before. In one of the things that Ancestry.com does is it allows you to go into military records for free on Veterans Day. And last year I went in and found my grandfather Olson, his original draft notice or induction notice on his 18th birthday in 1918, where he had to report to Stadium High School in Tacoma and get some training on his 18th birthday. And he spent another year. He did not get called up, but that's what a draft is all about, is he knew on his 18th birthday, he had to be trained and go. The other side of my family, my mother's side, my mother is German. And on that side, I have relatives who served I want to say the emperor, but it's not the Kaiser. Thank you very much for that help. That served the Kaiser, and we have some souvenirs of those service. However, in World War II, we had my grandfather, my mother's father, was actually interned because he did not serve for the German army. Anyway, my father joined the Army in 1947. The Air Force was formed on September 19th of 1947, and he was trained as an electronic serviceman. And here we have a picture of my father working on a radar unit in Berlin, Germany, and he was actually met my mom then after 1947. The airlift. Who knows about the airlift? Okay, well, the airlift was lifting 15 months from I've got it here. In these little aircraft, this is a C-17, a C-47, and from June of 1948 to September 1949, these planes held about 3.5 tons, about 7,000 pounds. They had about 300 aircraft of this type that supported trying to keep Berlin alive from 1947 and 1948. They flew 277,000 flights in those 300 aircraft full of coal. One of the more famous persons is the gentleman who would throw Hershey's candies out with handkerchiefs tied to it so the kids in Berlin would catch stuff. Anyway, my father was assigned as a radar operator in one of those planes. Now, the Russians were trying to stop us from supplying Berlin. They wanted Berlin back. So they would take pot shots. They weren't at war with us, but they would just randomly, for entertainment purposes, shoot at the C-47s. And my dad's C-47 got hit, lost an engine. And if you lose an engine in that plane, you land hard. And he hurt his back and he was no longer eligible to fly because of his injuries. But not to waste good personnel, they made him a radar operator at Tempelhof. And there he helped to install and run the radar that made 3 air corridors. We had air corridors that were 20 miles apart or 20 miles wide, and basically came into Berlin that we were supposedly safe in. And that was such a unique radar built in 48 and 49. It was still running in 1988 with all the vacuum tubes and all the heat and all the other stuff. And we actually went to visit that place, and the guys who were running it were very impressed. My dad was part of the one. And he said, "What are these big tubes for? We know what everything is that operates this." And he says, "That's to drop grenades into the equipment if the Russians came over on our side." And he said, "Okay." And he actually, you could see on the wall impressed where they had boxes of grenades mounted on the wall that they were supposed to destroy the equipment. Okay, there's my dad and my mom in Berlin. If you see there's a symbol of Berlin, oh, you can't see it in that picture, but basically because he was a radar operator, he got access to the top of Tempelhof and impressed his girlfriend of the time, my mom, into going up there. And the parade and celebration behind them is to celebrate that the Russians have given up and allowed us to use trains and cars again to come to Berlin. So he got a eagle eye seat up there, up on top of Tempelhof Airport. And there's my dad. I just throw this in because I really like it. He was visiting the Olsons in Norway in 1949, and they still had an abandoned, left behind because the Germans left in a hurry in 1945. They had occupied Norway. If you've not seen the history of Norway by the Germans, there's a couple of real interesting recent films on that. But anyway, they had a Kugelwagen. Kugel basically means, like we call them bucket seats. Why do we call it a bucket seat in a car? Because that's the term that we have. Kugel is basically a tub. So it's a tub seat or a tub car, but you might have seen a Volkswagen Thing. That's basically a Volkswagen Thing, but it's my dad driving it. And that's just a free picture there. Now my son joined the Air Force in 1997. And remember that 7,000 pounds that C-47 could carry? This is a C-17 with an Abrams tank in it. The maximum carrying capacity is 110,000 pounds for a C-17. Compare that to 7,000 pounds. A Abrams tank not loaded, they strip everything off of it, runs about 125,000 pounds. So you say if the capacity is 110,000 pounds and it's 125,000 pounds, well, in wartime, we can go 15% over carry capacity. And so every time an Abrams is carried, basically they're on special orders saying, we can carry that this time. But the loading procedure and everything, my son joined the Air Force, and I'm watching my time. Anyway, my son joined the Air Force and ended up seeing 86 countries. He talked to me for advice on how to get around the Air Force. I still knew enough then. And he basically, wherever he flew, he'd bring back a case of beer for the operations guys at McCord. And so they had a tendency to send him places that were fun or had good beer. So he got to go on an embassy run to Africa. That's 11 countries. And every week, every one of our embassies has a C-17 visit, and they bring all the stuff that they can't send FedEx or UPS. And the other thing, as a loadmaster, he had to prepare for a purser. He says, what? So the guy from finance comes up with a half a pallet with a safe bolted on it. And every place they land, they count out cash for landing fees. So every week, every non-allied country that we go to, we pay landing fees to come in and drop off all our embassy stuff. And I thought that was an interesting thing for my son to have taught me. In 2003, the one plane that was shot at in Baghdad was the plane my son was on. He was the loadmaster. They lost an engine. They came back down into Baghdad. They kissed the ground when they got down. And 6 months later, Vice President Cheney needed a reason to come out to the West Coast. So he came out and gave him and his crew, you can see the rest of his crew behind there, the Air Medal for saving an aircraft in Baghdad in 2003. There I am with him at Rotary 7 years ago. And as you can see, I still fit my uniform only because it's big and bulky. The BDUs are wonderful uniforms because they're great big. Devin, you said something about them owning you. Well, one of the things about owning you, whoop, I missed a picture. There it is. How'd I miss that one? When they own you, they can tell you how to get your hair cut. So that's me a month into my service, but the glasses were free. And everybody who has those kind of glasses probably still has them today and wears them for special occasions. But part of owning you is you get that haircut. Males do. Then there I am during Desert Storm. I'm the one driving the forklift. You can almost see that I have my glasses on, not the fancy ones I had in the picture. But basically, that was my job in the Air Force. I was a logistics guy, loading aircraft, doing this and that, and whatever Sam told me to. Only 2% of the people in the Air Force actually fly. My son was very fortunate. My dad was fortunate. I'm the one in the family that never was on an air crew. So one of the things I have to say about veterans, the one thing that everybody wants about Veterans Day or as a military service is they want to be with their family. That's the whole thing about being there. So I have two pictures from the Air Force Pictures of the Year of 2019 of people coming back to their family. And I just like these pictures because it's welcome back. Okay, and one other thing I usually do, I have 2 minutes left, is I like veterans to speak and tell one good story about their service. Can I have that much more time? Okay, you're coming to get the mic. Yeah, I'll tell you. Give me one short story about service.
One short story. My brother and I were in the service together at the same time, going to the Indian Ocean because that's when the hostage crisis was going on. Anyway, I was actually, when the ship pulled up alongside of us, he actually, the commanding officer of my ship told me to get ready, got on the H-46, flew over to the flight deck, and got to visit my brother while we were over in the Indian Ocean. Awesome trip. And that's the one that actually passed away this January.
Lee Harmon and United States Navy. And at 2:30 in the morning, as an intern at the Naval Hospital San Diego, I was called to attend a failing veteran Marine. And at the end of the bed, the foot of the bed, while I'm ministering, this lady nurse showed up, beautiful nurse, as a matter of fact, stunning blue eyes. And she was there to write down the orders that I was going to give to help this fellow. And that was Sergeant Major Meyer. And he would sing, well, this is off the subject, but he would sing, "Old soldiers never die," and on and on. At any rate, that lady turned out to be my wife of 47 years, Judy, who is a 10-year veteran. And I retired in 1990 with 23 years.
I don't have much to say. And it'd probably be confusing anyway. But the Air Force is what all I wanted to be, and I could care less about anything else at the time. I wanted to fly airplanes, always wanted to fly airplanes, and they kind of played around with me and never did pay me to fly airplanes, but they paid for a bunch of pilots' licenses. But anyway, I guess that you want me to tell you one story? It's real quick. So I ended up not being in the flying part of the Air Force, but the space part. So I was in space and missiles, and one of the things we were going to do is put all the missiles into rock formations so that the Russians would have to hit it a little closer with a bomb rather than in the missiles in soil. They were about 3 miles out. They could still destroy it. I put it in rock. They figured they'd have to be within within probably 50 feet. The thing would still survive. So I got to ride all around the West, playing, looking for places to put these missiles. And one of the things we used to do is go to Cheyenne and find somebody who had just gotten back from Vietnam, and he could fly the Hueys, and he would take us up in the Hueys. All we needed is somebody to get us in the air so we could look down. And all he wanted to do is play with a plane. So we'd go down, he'd put us wherever we wanted to go to look at rocks. And then we'd go in between rock sites, we would chase the antelope. And that was kind of fun. So all I did is have fun. And I don't feel like I really contributed much to the country by being a veteran, but I'm happy that I was one.
I just want to say one more thing. Veterans like to be part of the community. If you want to honor them, ask them a story and don't roll your eyes when they start. They have a lot of them that are pretty interesting and a lot of them are pretty dull. But my favorite is what we just did. Tell us one story of something good in the military, and it's always enriched my life. Thank you.